Yeah, every roster move usually has a corresponding one at this point when we're at 90. And so you have to make a decision on which player you think you need to release in order to make room for the next acquisition. And we got some young players we want to look at. Keandre has done a good job here, but felt like that was the best move for us at the moment. And excited to add Jihad. He's played against him last year in Minnesota. Real versatile and defensive lineman, can play stand up as an outside linebacker, can rush from the interior. Good size and strength and power. So excited to get him here and get him ingrained in the system.
He's another guy that high pressures, but not as many sacks. What can you guys do to get those pressures to convert to actually QB takeaways?
Yeah, we got to get the quarterback on the ground. I think, like I said before, we had quite a high number of missed sacks. We got the quarterback in our grasp, but we're right in position to make it, and we don't get him on the ground. So we got to do that better. I think how we're going to rush this year, how we're going to deploy the people to rush, I think is going to be maybe a little bit, different from maybe years past. But we're going to find a way to collectively rush better and get the quarterback on the ground. There's a lot of things that go into that, the balancing of the rush, the technique and how you rush, and I think one of the things for the size that you see that we've added, there's a crushing of the pocket as opposed to maybe more pure pass rush moves and things like that, where we're trying to collapse the pocket on the quarterback. So those are things that we're doing. That's kind of why we have the style of players we have, and it hopefully is translating to some more quarterback sacks and not just pressure.
Do you see more of potentially anyway more blitzing this year? I don't think you guys were one of the highest blitzing teams last year.
I think that's game to game. I think it depends on who you're playing. Certainly, Denard's got plenty of blitzes in his bag, and we see lots of them in practice. And he's ran a few. We pressure selectively. I think we pressure at the right times, but whether there's more or less, I think remains to be seen.
There's obviously some
come back.
that goes with starting.
Yes.
And if you're an offensive lineman or a quarterback, it's a big deal. At positions that are related to packages, third wide receiver, the outside linebacker rotation and stuff like that. Is it maybe less of a big deal, at least in the eyes of coaches, who starts, who gets introduced on the big board at the beginning, as opposed to what you're actually doing snap-wise?
Yeah, I think there's a balance. I mean, there's certainly like I said, there's a prestige to starting. There's an earning of a starting role that I think matters. But there's also a lot of players that play roles for us that maybe aren't considered starters, but are just as vital in our performance as a football team. There's every part of our team has role players, whether it's your fifth receiver on special teams, your fourth receiver, your third tight end, your third running back. Those guys are all role players, but they're equally as important. So while there is some prestige to starting, and it does matter, I think there's the depth in their role players, I think, matter just as much as those guys do over the course of a season.
Back to the defensive line.
Yeah.
That intentional decision that you guys have made to build that way, what's the impetus for that? Is that out of necessity? Is it the way that Denard wants to operate? Is it trying to get ahead of a curve in the league?
No. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
Go ahead.
I would say no. It's not to get ahead of any curve or trend or anything. That's just what I know. I believe it. I know Denard comes from a system that believes it as well. Is that those guys up front, it's you want as many big, powerful humans as you can get, and I think if you look at how Baltimore's been built over time, that those outside linebackers are big and they're long and they're physical and they're hard to run the ball against, and I think that's where it all starts. Got to be really good against defending the run to earn the right to rush the passer, I think, is the old adage goes for most guys, and so. Being physical, being stout, being strong at the point of attack, I think is a good place to start. And then you can use those guys in different ways when it comes to rushing the quarterback and the rush packages and rush plans and how you affect the quarterback.
I know size isn't everything, but it's like you're working towards being bigger up front, but your best player got smaller. Can you help me just kind of understand the correlation there?
Well, he's still a 300-pound human, TD. It's I would say smaller is not the word I would use. I would say he got leaner, and I think that is the difference. His lean body mass and his strength are still exactly what it was, 20 pounds heavier, but he's got different weight on him, and I think his power is going to be the same. But yesterday, I pointed it out in a team meeting. Jeff was running down, coming out of the stacks, chasing the ball down, and hit 18.2 miles an hour in practice, which for a man of his size is really impressive. And I think that's what you see from a guy that, refined his body type, and he's become a little faster, but I don't think he's lost any power or strength by any stretch.
Do you anticipate him playing a little bit more? I know he plays some five tech, but do you think he'll play more up and down the line this year?
I think Jeff's got versatility to do all that. I think, even some last year he rushed as an edge on different spots. So we didn't do a ton of it, but Jeff's got versatility, and I think that's what makes him unique.
How would you evaluate day one of camp, and what are you looking for today?
Yeah, really good first day for us, I thought. In terms of operation, we didn't have hardly any issues with alignments and assignments. Really, really strong first day from that regard. We're in an acclimation period, too. We're ramping into what's going to be our full padded routine next week as we get through this weekend. So we're kind of adding every day. Every day is just a little bit longer. We're mindful about how we go down the field in the first couple of days just to get everyone's legs back underneath them, ready to roll for the meat of training camp coming up. So felt really good about it.
Sorry, saw you guys grading throws in the quarterback room.
Yeah.
How far back does that go for you and the places you've been?
Yeah, always had some version of that. Bo and I have had some similar kind of mentors over our careers, and one of the things I think you have to ask him more specifically. I think he got it from David Cutcliffe when he was playing, but they would grade every ball in every part of practice, and that essentially just makes you aware of where you're placing the ball, and location is such a critical part of successful quarterback play, making you aware of where your bad throws are, where your good throws are, and you get a chance to look at why. Why was that throw maybe off target? And again, there's the difference between a throw here and a throw here is a great difference. So we're really hard on those guys in terms of their location. But they have fun with it too. It's a fun. They grade each other's throws. They have to come to an agreement on if a throw is a C throw, if it's an A throw. But the intent is to make them aware of the location of the ball, and if there is a bad throw, why did it occur, and keep them accountable to their part in the accuracy throwing.
What's a reasonable expectation of A throws for your
an A throw would be what you call your kind of quintessential perfect ball. Runner's ball. If a guy's in a move, it hits him. He doesn't have to break stride, doesn't have to move his body. It hits him right in his hands where he can just catch, tuck, and run. That's kind of the best way I can describe an A throw. A throws are probably hard to come by, naturally so, and I think that's a good thing. I would say they probably most practices are going to be a pretty high level of B throws, and then you have your handful of A throws. And I think when you look at the course of a game, quarterbacks probably have to make anywhere between 8 to 10 probably A throws in a game for you to convert on a third down or throw a touchdown, and that's probably a reasonable expectation.
Trig is Alan Burks, who you were complimentary of last year, but then the production just didn't meet what you saw. What can he do this year to convince you that it's in fact different?
Yeah. Everything about Trey I like. I like his ability. I like his talent. The thing that he's got to do for us, and I think he's on the same page with it, is you got to find the production. You have to make the plays when you have opportunities to make them. That's in practice. That's in preseason games. That's in regular games. And that's going to be that's the step for him. He's got to take for us is when it's when the time comes to produce, he's got to produce for us. Now, everything he does, how he works, the person he's in the building are fantastic. I love Trey, and I'm hopeful that he can find a way to get the production that he needs to continue to show for himself, because that's probably that's the step he's got to take, is to produce.
Trig, obviously, most experienced guy in the tight end room. Behind him is everything kind of up for grabs with that group, and can that pecking order change based on what you see here in camp?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition in that room right now. With some young players, obviously Gunner in there as a rookie, a lot for him to learn. It's hard position to play as a young player, and then with DMR and Tommy and Josh, those guys are all competing for meaningful snaps in a role. I think the best part about tight ends is that you can use different guys in different roles, whatever their skill sets are, and we have a need for a couple different types, and those guys are all competing for those opportunities.
It seems like we've seen James Williams get a lot of first team reps, whether off-season or early yesterday. If he does have a leg up at that spot, what's he done and how has it developed?
Yeah, James has done a really nice job. He's matured from his first year to his second, starting to understand the position more because, keep in mind he was a converted safety. So playing in the box was maybe not in the box necessarily, but at the linebacker position with your eyes and your reads and how quickly you have to diagnose and react. Those things have improved leaps and bounds from his first year to his second year. And you combine that kind of mental improvement with his maturity, and he's put himself in a really nice position. So again, we'll find out a whole lot more when we put our pads on. That'll be pretty revealing, but I'm really pleased with where James is at.
When you came here, this team had been offensively a power run, play action, vertical type of offense for years and years and years. Anytime, at least that there's been a scheme change, like on defense going from a 4-3 to 3-4, you have to find guys who don't necessarily fit what you want to do. When you came in, did you find maybe that there were a lot of things that didn't quite fit last year that you had to kind of make the best of, and you're still looking for fits here, fits there as you convert this to more of a timing-based, horizontal type offense?
Sure. There's probably a lot more. There's probably a lot of layers to that question. I think, generally speaking, I think we just need as many good players as we can find, and it's my job to find a way to put them in position to be successful. And while we had spurts of it last year, and we've tried to do the best we could with everything that we've had, and we had some deficiencies clearly. We needed to do a better job with that stuff, and hopefully as we got some new players and some young players and a different skill sets of guys, then we can find different ways to use them too. So I said there's probably a lot to that question from top to bottom, but I think at the end of the day, it's my job to find a way to get an offense that can score points.
What's the biggest point of emphasis for DK and Ironman right now?
Biggest point of emphasis, I would say it's really going to be when pads come and understanding how to play the physical nature that the receivers have to play when guys got their hands on you, press coverage, guys that are long and can run just as fast as you. They played against some good players, but everybody who they play against now is going to be good. So there's going to be a lot of work involved in releases and press and all those things. And then just being comfortable moving around a formation. They're both really smart guys, and so we can use them a lot of places, and we're finding out how much volume they can handle as well in terms of you can move AO to X to Z, you can put Chim at F, you can put Chim at Z, you can move these guys around and find ways to use their talents. So that mental load as we get into camp is going to be a point of emphasis for them too, is how much can they handle, and we'll learn about that as we go.
You spoke last year about feedback from the quarterback, and sometimes even saying, hey, I like this, coach. Where is that right now with Cam Ward? Because he doesn't come across as being a guy who's going to shy away from giving his opinions. No,
that's great. I love that about Cam and quarterbacks in general is I want to hear what they like. I want to hear their opinions. They're the ones out there that are doing it. I'm not out there throwing the ball, and every quarterback has things they prefer, has things they like, has concepts they feel more comfortable with than others. And if I don't know that, I can't keep calling them for them. So the idea is if they tell me plays that they like, and I can feature those. And then more importantly, I want to hear what they don't like, because that's really easy to just eliminate something if they're not comfortable with it. Cam's not shy about it, but he also understands he's learning at the same vein. He's trying to understand more about the totality of the offense, but he certainly has plays he enjoys and plays that he doesn't, and so he's not shy about sharing those things, which is good.
How much of a core working maybe some third down, maybe some red zone, and I guess how critical is it that Cam continues his development of those?
Quickly. Today, the first 2 days are base down days here. We'll get into third downs tomorrow. So this afternoon's walkthrough is pretty heavy third down. Tomorrow's practice is third downs. Saturday's going to be red zone. So we jump into them pretty quickly. And then for the rest of the time in training camp, there's probably either a third down or a red zone period in just about every practice.
Obviously, how important is that for Cam to continue kind of the development that we're
critical. Those are the two probably most critical areas in offensive success, and the third down pressure packages, the protection part of it, understanding his answers, understanding how to protect himself are really critical. He's done a really nice job, but it's just one of those things you just need constant exposure to, which is great that we're playing against two teams that, we get Tampa, who tends to pressure a bunch. We got Denard, who pressures a bunch. So we're going to get plenty of looks and challenges for him to continue to improve.
How much of a core special team do you consider Bryce Oliver, and how much does that maybe give him a leg up in the competition?
Yeah, anytime those receivers are competing for, that 5, 6 spot, 7 spot on the roster, the special teams portion is critical, whether they're returning as a part of that job description, whether they're playing in 3 to 4 phases, which Bryce is capable of doing. And he's got the ability and the body type and the size and speed that you look for a receiver that can contribute on teams. He did a really nice job in the second half of the year for us last year, and he needs to continue that. That certainly gives a player an advantage, any player on our roster, that if they can be a core special teams player, they certainly increase their likelihood of having a chance to make the roster.
We had good energy coming out. Guys were communicating. Guys had a sense of urgency, and that's all we ask for every single day is you come out and you're playing hard and we just communicate.
What do you like about your secondary as it stands right now, the guys you're working with in that position?
Guys are willing to learn, and guys love ball. When you come into a new team, got a lot of new faces back there. All I want to see is that you love ball and that you care about the guy next to you. And so far, every single day we've been progressing.
How does it feel, you and Jeff are the longest tenured guys on the defensive side of the ball with this franchise. Does it feel like the last 6 years has just kind of been like that?
Yeah, it goes by fast. Me and Jeff talk all the time how it's kind of us two from the 2019, 2020 class. So, but it's a great honor to be here with Jeff, and he's a hell of a player. So we just want to come in and just lead every single day.
Part of that.
You talked about it yesterday, how you guys kind of set the tone with those up downs right out of the start.
Yep.
How much does this defense need to embrace the hard to be as good as you can be?
Yeah, the season's going to be hard. Times are going to be tough, and it takes mental strength and guys to be together. When you're doing the up downs together, it makes it much easier than when you're just doing it by yourself. So throughout the season, we got to fight through adversity, and that's one of the things we got to do during camp.
What have you noticed about some of the rookies, especially like Femi and Kevin Winston? What have you noticed about their kind of work out there?
Their work ethic, and just the care about ball. I got Kevin Winston coming up asking questions every single day. Yesterday he's like, "What can I improve on?" I'm like, it's just day one. Ask me at the end of the week and I'll get back to you. But get your feet underneath you, keep learning, and just keep building, stacking days.
Kind of remind you when you were a new guy in the league?
Yeah, I feel like I'm Kevin Byard and he's Amani Hooker, so I gotta do the same thing Kevin was doing, was teaching me the ropes and trying to give me advice early, and I'm trying to do the same thing.
How you approach things, Amani, I guess, is this year 7 for you?
7, yeah.
How you approach maybe off-season and season now compared to when you first came in the league?
Just always trying to improve. No one's ever at the best as you can be. You're always going to have lapses, and whether it's a mistake here and there, and my job is to teach what I can to the young guys, learn what I can from the young guys and the coaches, and just build the team, because the way we win games is together.
You mentioned Kevin Byard. Obviously, he was a guy that took a lot of pride in being a leader on this team. How much pride do you take being one of the OGs here?
A lot of pride, man. Seeing what he did when he was here, seeing what Logan Ryan did when he was here, Jarrell Casey, just a lot of veteran guys that were here when I was young. I just embraced the opportunity that's at hand, and my job is to teach what I learned from them to the young guys and continue to learn myself.
I think you were talking about Winston when I walked up. What was it like first getting to know him? Was he asking a lot of questions before he kind of got out here and cleared to play? And what are your early thoughts?
Yeah, he sits next to me in the meeting rooms. His locker's right next to mine. He's always asking questions all the time. He's a guy that loves ball. Coming in, I kind of knew him a little bit coming in. Never really talked to him personally. We knew him through mutual friends. But guy that loves ball, hell of an athlete. Once he gets it going, he's going to be a hell of a player.
I know it's only early in training camp, but what's it been like going up against Cam so far?
It's been great. He's hell of a quarterback. He gets the ball out quick, so we got to be on it as a defensive back to close those windows. He's a hell of a player. I'm excited to see him grow. When the season comes, I know he's going to be ready.
How'd you approach maybe, I guess, the weeks leading up to camp, and how you may be feeling here at the start?
Just trying to get my body ready for what I'm about to be out here doing. Just working out. I did a lot of track workouts in the off season, working out in the pool, just doing a lot of full body workouts. Getting ready for this heat.
What did you learn, I guess, from last year that's can help you year 2 in Tennessee?
Just be relaxed and let things come to me. Don't try to force anything. Just go out there and play ball and play ball how I know how.
Do you find yourself taking on more of a leadership role now that you have 1 year under your belt here?
It's kind of coming more natural, just bringing more guys along, you know, talking to the young guys a lot more, you know, just walking around the locker room, you know, getting to know all the different players, the new players and things like that.
Speaking of the young players, what has it been like building that chemistry with Cam Ward?
Man, it's been great. I look at Cam like a little brother. He's a guy, he's like a natural leader, you know. It's rare that you find a young guy like that that just, you know, comes in with the energy and the focus at the same time as an old vet. And, you know, I think we really got a good one with him.
How much you guys, when you have a rookie quarterback, how much of running backs feel like part of their job is to kind of take pressure off of the young quarterback by producing and doing your job well?
The running back, quarterback, you know, relationship is huge. You know, during the season, you know, we're their best friends. You know, we protect them. You know, we keep hits off of them, and when the pocket breaks down, sometimes, you know, we're that check down option when the design guy, the design play doesn't work. You know, we're the guy that, you know, he normally can look for.
You said he's like a natural leader. I guess what is it about the way he like carries himself that gives you that impression?
He's a young guy, but he's so mature at the same time. You know, the way that he handles himself, the way that he goes about his business. You know, he likes to bring all the guys together. You know, he's a guy that, you know, call up meetings whenever he wants to talk to guys. You know, he does a lot of things with the receivers, you know, getting the receivers together, you know, just to get a feel for how everybody is and just talking over things that he sees so they can pretty much see things through the same lens.
What are some of the things that maybe the coaches are emphasizing this year that maybe wasn't as big an emphasis?
I would say being more of a connected team. We were connected last year, but this year I feel like we've really taken that next step. You know, it's more than just, you know, guys coming in here, clocking in and clocking out. You know, guys, you know, we keep in touch during the off season. You know, we keep in touch when we go home. We talk, you know, FaceTime. We may be on the game together, just little small stuff, just staying connected.
How does that help? How are you feeling?
It makes the world of a difference. I feel like the way that we're going about camp this year, you know, we're traveling this year for camp, so that's a big thing. That's going to be new for us as a team. But when you have those type of travels, those type of away games, and it's just you and the team, it feels like it's you against everybody else, and that's something that's going to be huge for us.
Today, when there's on a day like today, when there's you know, no pads on, obviously it's kind of an advantage for the defense. But when they kind of maybe win the day or get the advantage on a number of plays, what do you guys do on the offensive side when you go back and look at the film and try to dissect what went wrong or where you can fix things?
Those are huge days for us. You know, those are days that we can learn a lot from the film. You know, go in, make corrections, and then, you know, camp, you want it to be back and forth. You don't want it to be one-sided. So it's kind of good that it swings like that. You know, I would say yesterday offense pretty much got the best of it. Defense, I would say they won today pretty much. So, you know, it's good that we had that back and forth battle with each other.
Tony, I know you're waiting for Coach to come back, but obviously it's going to be a new-look offensive line this year. What's your confidence level in the guys up front that are going to be blocking for you this year?
I'm very confident in the guys that we have up front, especially with an O-line coach like Bill, you know, someone who's been around for so long. You know, he knows how to teach guys all the fundamentals and all the right techniques and the right ways to go about blocking people and, you know, the way to do their job. You know, he's like a perfectionist when it comes to him coaching and breaking things down. So, you know, having a coach like him, it makes it a lot easier, you know, to transition from, you know, a starter getting hurt and then coming in with a replacement and then him filling right in.
Tony, Coach Callahan, he made a lot of changes in the offseason program in the locker room. What are you seeing from him as he's going into his second full season as a head coach?
I would say he has a little more fire behind him. You know, the energy that we came in with, you know, coming from the offseason this year, you can kind of feel it. Like, it was something that he talked about in the meeting, but, you know, I felt it before he even brought it up, just the energy of the guys. You know, it felt different. You know, it felt like guys were ready. Guys were excited to come back, you know, get to working.